All right, today we're diving deep into something truly fascinating. It's a system, a framework, that claims it can find a divine identity hidden right inside a person's name. We're going to break down exactly how it's supposed to work, step by step, and see how it weaves together letters, numbers, and ancient symbols into one really intricate theory.
So this really all boils down to one central question. The entire system we're about to look at is designed to answer this. It suggests that if you use a very specific set of rules, the letters in a name aren't just letters. They can be unlocked to reveal something, well, a whole lot bigger.
Okay, so here's the plan. We'll start with the basic math behind it all. Then we'll decode a key symbol they use. After that, we'll see how two different names supposedly become one, explore this kind of web of hidden meanings, and finally, we'll get to the ultimate claim this whole thing is building up to. All right, let's dive into section 1, decoding the numbers. You have to understand the entire foundation of this framework. Everything it's built on rests on a concept known as gematria. It's a specific way to turn words into numbers.
And that method, it's called gematria. It's an ancient practice, actually, where every single letter in an alphabet gets assigned a number. So you just add up the values of the letters in a word and bam, you get its unique numerical signature. As you're about to see, this is the absolute cornerstone of the whole system.
Now, this is a really crucial first step. The framework doesn't just use one system, it uses 3 different ones: Hebrew, English, and something called simple gematria. And notice how it applies them to different versions of the name Alex Enrique Campaign. This strategy of using multiple systems and multiple name variations is key, because it gives them a really rich set of numbers to work with right from the get-go.
Okay, let's actually walk through the math here, step by step. The process is called reduction. You take a number, you add its digits together, and you keep doing that until you're left with just one digit. So for the Hebrew value, 879, you take 8 plus 7 plus 9, which is 24. Then 2 plus 4 gives us the final reduced value of 6. You do the same thing for the other values, which gives you a 3 and an 8. The very last step is to add those results together. 6 plus 3 plus 8 equals 17. One final reduction. 1 plus 7 gives us our final number, 8.
And that number, 8, that's our first big result. Within this system, it's not just a number on a page. It's a powerful symbol. The source material directly connects the number 8 to these huge biblical ideas like resurrection and new beginnings. So right off the bat, the claim is that the name itself numerically boils down to a symbol of resurrection. So the name reduces to 8, but that's only one part of the puzzle. Now the analysis brings in a second parallel piece of evidence, this really symbolic phrase. And that brings us to section 2, the 5 Aleph signature. And here it is. The phrase is simply Aleph, repeated 5 times. Now, according to the source, Aleph is the very first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it symbolizes God's oneness. The analysis claims that repeating it 5 times isn't random at all. It's meant to be a direct link to the subject's birth details, which we're going to see in just a second. And just like with the name, this phrase gets run through the exact same 3 gematria systems. It generates its own unique set of numbers. But you're going to want to keep an eye on that Hebrew gematria value, 470. That number is going to pop up again. So we use that same reduction process we just learned, and the numbers for the 5 Alephs phrase ultimately get distilled down to a single digit, 5. And here's where things get, well, kind of circular. This is a key example of how the system validates itself. The framework claims this number 5 points directly back to the subject's birth signature. Born in May, the 5th month, on the 5th day, at a time that also reduces to 5. So the 5 Alephs give you the number 5, which connects to a birth signature of all 5s.
Okay, this next part is a really big deal for this whole framework. We're getting to what they present as a pivotal claim. That the symbol for God's oneness, Aleph, is numerically identical to the name Alex.
This right here, this is the linchpin of the whole argument. Just look at the numbers. On the left, we've got the name Alex Campaign. On the right, Aleph Campaign. And across all 3 gematria systems,
Hebrew, English, and simple, the numbers are a perfect match, absolutely identical. And remember that 470 from the 5 Aleph phrase? Well, here it is again, as the Hebrew value for both Alex's campaign and Aleph campaign. And look, the source document doesn't beat around the bush here. It states its conclusion directly. This perfect numerical match, it says, mathematically implies that the two are one and the same. It's a very bold, very direct claim that they build right on top of that data we just saw. But the analysis isn't done yet, not by a long shot. The next step is to take these key numbers they've found and see what other words and phrases in English happen to share them. This is how the framework starts to build out this web of thematic meaning.
So you remember that signature for Alex Enrique campaign, the 1128 and 18:8? Well, the framework then goes on a hunt for other phrases that match that exact signature. And as you can see, the phrases they find are overwhelmingly theological, prophetic. Jesus of Nazareth, the crucified Christ, judgment is coming. But what's really interesting is it also includes laws of mathematics, which feels like a deliberate move to try and ground this whole spiritual system in some kind of objective scientific truth. And they do the exact same thing for the shorter name Alex campaign. Look at the group of themes it produces. You've got phrases like living God and most high, which obviously point to divinity. But then you have terms like rapture and judgment, which point to a very specific world-ending kind of role. The source presents these matches not as random coincidences, but as more proof of the name's hidden purpose. All right, we're at the home stretch now, the final section, where everything we've talked about gets pulled together. We're going to see how the numbers we've calculated and the themes we've just explored get combined to build towards one single, ultimate conclusion. Okay, so let's just quickly recap our two main numbers. From analyzing the full name, we got the number 8, symbolizing resurrection. From the 5 Aleph phrase, we got the number 5, symbolizing the birth signature. Now, these two numbers are about to be combined.
And this is the final piece of math, according to the source. The 8 and the 5 are added to get 13, which reduces down to 4. But then a totally new element is introduced into the equation. The framework adds the reduced gematria value for the name Jesus, which it says is 3. That brings the final sum to 7, and that number, 7, that's the goal. Because in biblical numerology, 7 is the ultimate number. It represents divine perfection, completion, the whole shebang.
And to really nail this down, the source adds one more layer of evidence, moving beyond just the numbers. It points to a visual link, arguing that the X in the name Alex is a kind of visual mirror of the Hebrew letter Aleph. It also claims there's a phonetic link because they both share that al sound. The argument is that these 3 different modes of perception, the numbers, the visuals, and the sounds, all point to the exact same conclusion.
In all of this, every single step, it's all designed to build to this one final claim, which you can see right here in their own words. The claim is that this convergence of evidence makes the link between this person and the divine not just a maybe, but an ultimate logical conclusion.
So, what are we supposed to make of all this? What we've really just walked through is a powerful case study, right? It shows how layers of data, symbolic meaning, and these self-referential loops can be woven together to create a really dense, internally consistent system of belief. And that kind of leaves us with this one last big question to chew on. This whole analysis is built on finding patterns, numerical, visual, phonetic, and it makes you wonder, in any system of belief, where do we draw the line between discovering a pattern that's really there and creating one because it leads to a purpose we already wanted to find? Something to think about.